Good afternoon, Mannheim. My name is Emran Islam. I work at the European Central Bank as a plumber. So you're thinking, plumber, really? Let me explain. The financial system in Europe is in essence a whole network of digital pipes. And every day, these pipes are hugely interconnected, and approximately 2 trillion euros flows through these pipes. Your money, my money. And it is my job to work with a whole host of other colleagues to ensure that this money can flow through these pipes safely, efficiently, without any leakage, without any blockage. But plumbing, although I'm very passionate about this, is not my passion. And before I tell you about my passion, I want to know about yours. So could you put your hands up if you are studying economics or finance? Good number. Those of you who are studying computer science or information security, very good. Who's studying history? There. Very good. What's your name? Okay. You and I, we share the same passion. My biggest passion in life has been history, the study of history, and I did this at university. And I can still tell you about the moment when I first fell in love with it. I was 13 years old, and my history teacher, Mr. Black, who had a profound impact on my life, he was teaching us about the Cold War. And as an annoying, irritating 13-year-old is, I put my hand up and said, Sir, what's the most destructive weapon in human history? And Mr. Black, he looked at me with a smile, and he said, Emran, the most destructive weapon in human history is human nature. As I then continued to study history, what I learned is that history is the study of human societies and how they have evolved over time. History is testament to the incredible capacity of human beings to progress, to do good, to collaborate. But human history also shows the incredible capacity of human nature to destroy, to destruct, to subjugate, and to amass wealth at the cost of others. And throughout history, the two vehicles through which this has been done, this destruction has been achieved, have been wars and weapons. We've gone from sticks and stones, knives and swords, to guns and machine guns, to bombs and nuclear bombs. But you know, today, we face a very unconventional war, a very unconventional weapon. Cyber warfare and cyber hackers. Cyber hackers who are equipped with the most elaborate invisible weapons. And I would like to tell you about the most sophisticated weapon that's ever been created in cyber history. In 2005, a group of unknown, to this day we still don't know who they were, cyber hackers got together and developed a worm. A malicious software. But this was no ordinary one. You couldn't see it, you couldn't touch it, you couldn't step on it. In fact, this worm was big enough to simply be able to be put on a USB key. In 2010, an innocent person, not knowing anything about what's on this key, put this key into their Windows PC, as you and I do every day. This worm, the mischievous worm that it was, suddenly woke up, energized, said it's going to have some fun. So this worm used a secret bug that no one knew even existed, and it copied itself onto the Windows PC. But that wasn't enough. So this worm then used another secret bug that no one knew existed and copied itself onto a network. What does that mean? Well, it meant that now this worm is on every single computer in that building. Wow. And you know, it did this without a single person being able to even detect it. Now, what does this worm do next? This mischievous, highly intelligent worm? Well, it searches every single computer for a very specific software. And this software, designed by Siemens, is used to operate industrial control systems. Industrial control systems operate something called centrifuges. Centrifuges are these spinning machines which purify chemicals. Chemicals such as uranium. Do you know what uranium is used for? Yes, creating nuclear weapons. So what does it do? This worm finds that control system, copies itself onto the control system, and now takes control of the industrial control system itself, and therefore the centrifuges. It now has the capacity to destroy every centrifuge if it wants, but that would be too easy, and this worm is too intelligent. So you know what it does? Exhausted, it falls asleep. A few days later, this worm wakes up and says, I'm going to have some fun now. So one day, this worm increases the speed of the centrifuge. Another day, it decreases the speed of the centrifuge. And another day, it increases the gas pressure of the centrifuge so that the gas turns to rock. One by one, these centrifuges were malfunctioning and being destroyed. And if that wasn't enough, this devious worm took control of the security cameras that were monitoring the centrifuges operating every day, and then put a video on loop to show that these centrifuges were actually working normally. Can you imagine? The most intelligent nuclear scientists in the world were watching their centrifuges break down day after day, and they couldn't figure out who was doing it, how it was happening, when it was happening. These nuclear scientists were in essence being defeated, despite their high IQ, by an invisible worm. Now you might think that this is science fiction. It's not, because this worm is called Stuxnet. And in 2010, it destroyed 1,000 centrifuges in the Natanz nuclear facility in Iran. And as a result, it destroyed 30% of Iran's nuclear program. Not a bomb was thrown, not a person was killed, but this invisible worm was able to destroy a nation's nuclear capability. You know, I love history. 2,500 years ago, there was a military strategist called Sun Tzu who wrote a book, The Art of War. And in that book he said, the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without even fighting. It was prophetic, because 2,500 years later, we are confronted by an adversary in cyber warfare who can destroy nations and economies without even fighting. But you know, how is this relevant to you? Because I doubt you've got centrifuges in your room. I'm very doubtful that you're processing uranium, and if you are, please don't tell me. I do not want to know. I have enough problems in my life. But how is it relevant to you? What's your name?
Lorena.
Lorena. Okay. Lorena, you're a genius, right? Clearly. You're doing a degree, I hope not in nuclear physics, but okay. So you were a genius, and you graduated with the top honors at this university. So you are joyous now, you're ecstatic, and you say to everyone in this hall, all of your friends, drinks from me, we're going to go to the bar. And everyone here, your friend, ecstatic for you, says, yeah, we're going to do it. Although they love the drinks more, but clearly. So you go to the bar, and everyone there enjoys themselves. They all have drinks, and you go to the waiter and you say, put it on the tab, the drinks are on me. So at the end of the evening, all of your friends are completely drunk and they've left, and you're left there yourself, also fully drunk, no doubt, with your card to make the payment. So the waiter takes your card and tries 3 times for the payment to happen, but it doesn't go through. So you pull out your smartphone, you check your bank balance, and you realize that your account is 0. All your money's gone because it's been hacked. This happens. All of you, no doubt, have smartphones. Well, imagine, on your smartphone, you put your messages, you put your photos, you have your emails. Imagine someone hacks into your phone and effectively steals all of this information and puts it on social media for the whole world to see. This happens. But it's not just individuals, it can happen on a national level. So in 2015, the Ukrainian power grid was hacked and the whole nation was out of electricity. And if you look closer in history now, if you look in the US, allegedly, the Russians have carried out cyber attacks to influence the US elections. The result of which is we have a certain Donald Trump in presidency. I told you that cyber attacks can be incredibly disruptive. Right. So, in essence, what do we do about this? What do we do? Well, the European Central Bank works tirelessly within the financial system. And here's the point. There is no target that is greater than the financial system. And why is that? Because if you want to target a country, you target its economy. Why? Because the economy, the bedrock of the economy is the financial system. Yeah? The financial system is the engine that drives economic growth. It is the catalyst for creating wealth, for security, for growth, for your future. But it's also a little bit more complex because the financial system itself is incredibly complex. It's comprised of hundreds of financial infrastructures like banks, payment system, insurance companies, pension funds, all of whom do business with each other on a daily basis, all of whom are very interconnected, highly digital, very dependent on technology. All of whom have these interconnected pipes that I spoke about, connected to each other so that on a daily basis they can do business with each other and that money that they own that belongs to you and I can flow through it safely. Now conversely, when you have such a large attack surface, the cyber attacker today is more sophisticated, more resourceful, more persistent than ever before to be able to try and harm it. So how do we protect it? Well, the European Central Bank thought quite a lot about this. Because it's our role. Think of the European Central Bank in collaboration with all the national central bank as in many ways the guardians of the financial system. It's our job to try and protect it with these financial infrastructures to ensure that the money that flows through does so in a safe, stable and efficient way and it can serve your needs. And when we thought about this, we asked ourselves a very simple question. How can we ensure that a financial infrastructure is strong enough not to be hacked? And we reflected on something that Einstein said. Einstein said the definition of crazy is to do the same thing again and again, but to expect a different outcome. And in this unconventional world, with this unconventional threat, we needed to do something different, something innovative, something fresh. And the answer was simple. The way that a financial infrastructure can demonstrate to us that they are strong enough not to be hacked is to hire the best hackers in the world to try and hack into them. And that's what we've tried to do. So I reflected on history. I love it. So earlier this year, the European Central Bank and all of the other national central banks went back into history. We borrowed from military history. And in military history, there is something called red teaming. What is red teaming? Well, red teaming was used by armies where they would have a select group of elite soldiers, highly trained, highly skilled, to try and break into the enemy camp without being caught, to bypass all of their security measures. So let's give you an example. You four, you look highly skilled, highly sophisticated, elite soldiers. We give you a mission, and your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to break into the enemy security camp, yeah? To steal a piece of paper from the safe. How are you going to do this? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to spy on the camp. and you're going to gather intelligence. Because all camps have security measures. So you're going to look and observe. You're going to see, where are the security guards? How many security guards are there? Where are they located? What doors are there? Once I get through, what tunnels are there? Where are the security cameras? Is the alarm system keypad? Is it biometric? You try and gather intelligence. Once you've gathered this intelligence, you hatch a sophisticated plan, and you try to break into the security camp without being caught and bypass all of the security measures. That is what red teaming is. What we did earlier this year is we brought the physical red teaming into the digital world. In 2018, the European Central Bank, in collaboration with all of the other national central banks of Europe, published something called TEDxUniMannheim. This stands for Threat Intelligence-Based Ethical Red Teaming. What we have done is effectively said the financial infrastructure is no different to a security camp. They hold assets, data, money. They have to protect them. But all of this is largely digital. And in order to protect them in a digital way, they have lots of security defenses. But a real-life attacker tries to break into those infrastructures to steal that data or that money and bypass all of the security measures. That's what hacking is. So what we did through TEDxUniMannheim is we, in essence, brought that concept into the world of cyber hacking, ethical hacking, and we got the best hackers in the world, the ethical hackers, the good guys, to try and break into these financial infrastructures. So the financial infrastructures would now go out and hire the best hackers and say to them, let's see if you can break into our infrastructure, and let's see how far you can go. At the end of these tests, the financial infrastructure will learn about its weaknesses, its vulnerabilities, and its strengths. And in doing so, they will then be able to put a plan together on how they can strengthen their systems, how they can improve. Now, I must say that this was inspired originally by work that the Bank of England did, back when I used to work with them. But you know, the European Central Bank has to always think about Europe. So we work with all of our partners in Europe and think about how we can work to protect the whole of Europe. And you know, there is an irony here. I've spoken so much about war, and I've also spoken about Europe. And the irony here is that Europe was born in the aftermath of war. Our systems, our nations, it was a vision, it was an ideal, yeah? It was an ideal to bring all of us, all of our countries together so that we can have shared values, a shared philosophy, yeah? So that we can bind our economies together, we can bind our currency together, we can bind our financial systems together, so that we never ever have to go to war. And today, Europe stands at a point where, in essence, it's confronted by a form of war, a cyber war, and by weapons, the cyber hacker who have and deploy these weapons. TEDxUniMannheim has been developed to embody the spirit of Europe, i.e., getting all of the national central banks, the European Central Bank, all of the financial infrastructures to come together, to work together, to collaborate together, precisely so that it can defend Europe and its financial system against this unconventional war. Now, a lot of you might think that what I've said to you is some kind of a spy thriller, right? This isn't real. I assure you, this is a clear and present danger. The world has changed immeasurably in the last 35 years alone, since the advent of the internet. We're more digitalized, we're more interconnected, we're more globalized, we're more dependent on technology than ever before. Conversely, the cyber attacker is more sophisticated, is more persistent, and is more resourced to try and harm that. But you know, if you go back in history, what does history shown. History shows that if you do get together as humans, if you do work together, if you do collaborate, if you are innovative, if you are creative, if you are agile, then human nature has the capacity to succeed. And in our small way, TEDxU is doing and trying to do exactly that. Bring us all together with a common purpose and vision, in an innovative way, to try and help our financial system, which hopefully will help protect your future, Generation Y, I think it is. I feel very old. And a lot of people say to me, Emran, this is a war we cannot win. For me, the stakes are too high. So even if we can't win it, we can't afford to lose it. That's for sure. And you know the theme today of TED Talks is time to speak up. I'm sorry. I think it's time to step up. And I sincerely believe that if we do step up together, if we do collaborate, then Sun Tzu was right when he said, know thy enemy, know thyself. 1,000 battles, 1,000 victories. Thank you.